Hi, my loves. I have to apologize in advance. When I recorded this episode, I was recording the video and the audio both on a new platform, and the video never saved. So, just to let you know that if you're watching this, after a few seconds, there will be no video, but there will be captions and audios. I do apologise and I hope you do listen to the episode. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of the podcast. If you've been listening to me the last while, you've probably heard me saying Soul Discovery. The name of it just doesn't resonate, but I was waiting for a new name to drop in. So the new name has arrived and it's the Feminine Flow podcast. So you're very welcome to the Feminine Flow podcast. I'm super excited to record this episode. It is called Release the Pressure. So I was actually supposed to record this earlier, and it's just getting off the getting like I suppose this is an intro to the episode. So earlier I was supposed to record the episode this morning, and I got up and I just felt like super tired. I usually do on a Wednesday. I don't know if anyone else feels that. I suppose like it's hump day. I always feel so tired on Wednesday. But anyways, I got up and I was like, I'm so tired, and what I decided to do, which I usually do now because I know like if my body needs rest, my body needs rest. I was like, right, well, I was even thinking about like going to the beach with Kika, and I was like, I actually just don't, I feel so tired. I just like kind of want to be in my room laying down. So I had a Kika ceremony and I done some embodiment movement, like breath sound movement, shaking, just like literally about like 5-10 minutes, and then I laid on my bed and I just lied there and allowed whatever was to come true, whatever I was supposed to receive, whatever wisdom I was supposed to receive come. And I did, and I felt like so much better. And as I went on with my day, I was like, right, well, I still feel like I just kind of want to like get out. I want to go and walk with my dog. I want to go and get down to nature to ground my energy. Came home, done a workout, had a shower. Now I'm here, feel so much better. Whereas compared to earlier, I felt like tired, overwhelmed. I knew if I recorded the podcast, well, actually, I didn't even want to record it earlier, but if I had recorded it, I would have shown up with the wrong energy, I suppose. Because if I'm gonna show up, I want to show up properly. I don't want to be coming here and just like kind of half showing up. If I'm showing up, I want to show up fully. So this is kind of like where we get to release the pressure. Now, if you've been following me over on Instagram, you'll know the last while I've been working on my self-worth. It was really low. It has been really low for a long time. Probably no, it has been really low always. I did increase it over the years, but then it just through life experiences it got really low again. So I started to look at my astrology placements and started to embody my Venus and my moon sign. So Venus is the planet of magnetism. First off, both these planets are the two divine feminine planets within our astrological chart, our blueprints. So our Venus is our magnetism. It's how we receive, how we become magnetic. Think of she is sensual. Venus is all about pleasure, sensuality, and it actually is all about like self-worth. Think of a goddess, because Venus is represented by the goddess Aphrodite. Think of Aphrodite. She just like spoils herself. She allows other people to spoil her, to give her what she needs. I do always have the image of Aphrodite just like laying on a chair and being fed and being given wine and just lying there and receiving it all, receiving even more. And that's, as women, the feminine energy is all about receiving, attracting. It's not about like taking action or chasing after, because that's the masculine energy. And a lot of us have been conditioned, a lot of us are running on the masculine energy because society is created through that masculine energy. And we all have, no matter what gender we identify with, we both have masculine or feminine energy. And if we want to step into our Empress energy, if we want to receive, we have to like slow down. We have to become magnetic and attract, rather than like go and run after things and chase after things and keep taking action. So I was like, right, well, my sorry, got off track there when I had that sip of tea. So Venus, when we embody our Venus sign, we become magnetic. And Venus, like Aphrodite, knows how much she is worth. So looking at our Venus placement can help us increase our self-worth. Now I have mine in the sign of Taurus, which is actually it's ruled by Venus, and exactly like what Venus represents: sensuality, pleasure, self-worth, receiving, the body, nature. So all of those qualities I have been embodying. And also our moon sign. So our moon is the other divine feminine planet, and the moon is all about like emotional safety, what we need to nourish ourselves, to nurture ourselves. So when we feel nourished and nurtured and emotionally safe on the inside, it's like our system is regulated, our nervous system is regulated. It's like our cup is overflowing. So the moon represents the mother, okay, the womb. So imagine like we are in the womb and we are receiving what we need while we're in the womb. We're feeling nourished, we're feeling nurtured. We obviously do become magnetic that way as well. We are feeling safe. So we are just like, our frequency is raising. It's not like we're not coming from a place of like stress or anxiety. It's more of a place of, I feel emotionally safe, I feel nourished, I feel nurtured, and then I become magnetic. And again, like my moon sign is in Taurus as well. So I just told you what Taurus is. There is a difference between both. One is the moon is in the 8th house, which is intimacy, it's sex, it's rebirth, it's transformation, it's shadow work, it's alchemy, it is like Tantra, Kundalini. And then my Venus is in the 9th house, which is all about spirituality, teaching, learning, expansion, optimism, faith, joy. So I have been really embodying, like intentionally embodying these archetypes that exist within me, because my energy field will then expand and I will become magnetic. And we are all created differently, so we all have our own unique soul imprints. So Venus can actually, both of these planets can actually help us in our relationships as well. They're like I suppose a cheat sheet to what we need. Okay, so if we are in a relationship, I have, like, I would need, like, my Venus shows me what I need, okay, in a relationship. So I need stability, but I need freedom in the 9th house. My moon needs nourishment, so it is my intimacy, it's depth. I don't want any relationships that are just shallow, and that's okay. Everyone is different, like if that's what you're into, but I want relationships that are deep, that are intimate, that are soul connection. So these placements not only help us become magnetic and nourish and nurture ourselves, they also help us like we can share these parts of us with our partners to help deepen our relationship if we know each other's placements. So what I suppose where I'm going with this is, as I said, I was working on my self-worth and doing all those things, like looking at these signs, what do I need to build my self-worth. So where I'm going with this, there's two things kind of connected to that. It's like my self-worth, but I realized my arousal level was down. Not I realized, I felt my arousal level was down. So there's so many factors that can apply to arousal level. So it can depend on our cycle, if we are females or we have periods, we are someone who have periods, if we are stressed, if we are anxious, if we are depressed, that can all affect our arousal level, because our hormones, our endocrine system is what regulates our hormones, and the pituitary gland, right now I always get confused, I think it's the pituitary gland, which is the third eye. It's either the pineal or the pituitary. I'm quite more than likely sure it's the pituitary gland. Anyways, that's the master gland. Now that's your third eye, right? That's located in your third eye, and that sends a signal to your gonads. So these are like the sex hormones. So in a female body it will be the ovaries, in a male body it will be the testicles. The pituitary gland sends a signal to the body saying release like testosterone, more testosterone for men, or like in females it is oh my god, estrogen and progesterone and like a tiny bit of testosterone. Obviously we all have all hormones, but depending on the sex or your body, you release more or less. But what I'm getting to is, so stress, anxiety, depression, they obviously affect our body and our mind. Okay, so our mind is like clouded. That's affecting our bodies, that's affecting our arousal level. So think of it right now. I'm just going to think of, right, I don't know if anyone's experienced depression, but I've experienced depression, and like you don't want to get out of the bed, let alone be touched by a person or engage in a sexual act with a person. But just come back to everyday simple life, okay? So because a lot of us are running on like anxiety, we're overstimulated from work, from our days, because they're constantly on go. We never have time to just rest, relax, receive and be. So imagine like you are after having the most hectic day. You got up early, you ran around like doing what you had to do. If you have kids, giving your kids breakfast, you took them to work, or you took them to school, you went to work. Like you're constantly being around people that are like draining your energy. You're having conversations maybe you don't want to, you're engaging with people that you don't want to. You're coming home like after like an 8 to 10 hour walk, you're absolutely exhausted, and then you come in and your partner tries to engage in like sex, and you're like, get away from me, okay? Your arousal level is so low, because you're like, I'm not feeling turned on, this is actually like, do not place your hands on me. But that's because, right, like you're overstimulated, you're anxious, you're like, you have so many things going on, you're all up in the mind, that like you're not in your body, you're disconnected from your body, you're not feeling aroused, the brakes is on. Like, so what we can do is, this is something that I done with myself, okay? So it doesn't matter like what placement you have or whatever like that, this is something that we can all do to help with our arousal level, that will help us with our own self-pleasure, and like if we're having partnered sex. So we take the pressure off. And what does that look like, taking the pressure off? Okay, so for me, what it looked like all last week, I was like, right, I'm going to dedicate an hour to myself and my body, and I am just going to do an intimacy practice. And what that involved was like, that's an hour of my time that is a priority, and I done it daily because I have the time. I'm very lucky I have the time. So I set just kind of very similar to the last episode of the self-pleasure ritual tips. I cleansed my room, I put on some candles, I had some nice smelling oils, and I set an intention. And my intention was to connect to my body, fill myself up with so much self-worth, okay? Had nice oils, and I began breath, sound, movement, and then just very, very, very slowly moving through my body from touching everywhere on my body, beginning on the tip of my head, moving all the way down to my toes, up into my breasts, down into my womb, and gave myself a yoni massage. Some days, not every day. Some days I just connected to my yoni, where just placing my hand on my yoni and connecting to the energy. And this, even with the massage, it wasn't like a sexual practice. It was an intimacy practice. So I felt very nourished, very nurtured. I took the pressure off myself. And after a couple of days, I found my arousal level increased. So I was able to, my arousal level increased, that I was able to, I think within 2 days, I had like 4 self-pleasure pleasure sessions. Okay, so it's like, once we take the pressure off ourselves, because for a lot of us, like, think about, like, even in everyday life, if you feel pressured to do something, you get overwhelmed, and you're like, I don't want to do that. So if you feel pressure in engaging in like self-pleasure, like sexual self-pleasure, or you feel pressure to engage in sex with a partner, that puts a lot of stress, overwhelm, anxiety on the mind, which affects the body and lowers the arousal level. So once we remove the pressure and focus on slowing down and just having pleasure, then that just awakens so much more things for us. And then sometimes, like, not sometimes, most of the time, a lot of the times, when we remove that pressure, that can eventually maybe lead to a sex session with your partner, or a self-pleasure session. So this is something that we can bring into ourselves. Now, you know what I say, self-pleasure is very important. It's very empowering. We get to know our own bodies before handing our power over to another. So, like, we always assume that our partners should know where to touch us, how to touch us, but how should they know if we don't even know that ourselves? So it's so important that we do engage in self-pleasure, because we understand ourselves, our bodies, our needs, our wants on a deeper level, and it becomes so empowering. And this is something that we can share with our partner then. Not both people, or how many people you're engaging in, going into a beautiful sex ritual and being like, in your mind, you're like, I'd love to know what this person knows. So if you know, you can communicate that with your partner, and your partner can communicate that with you. But what I'm getting to in this episode is, instead of, like, if you are someone who is really low on arousal, if you're trying to connect to yourself or your partner again, you may like be having a lot of things going on, and you're like, I just don't want to have sex, but want to connect with my partner, I want to go more deeper with my partner. Or this can be things that you can do to take the pressure off. You can have an intimacy practice with your partner. It takes the pressure off you, it builds intimacy, it makes you feel safe in your body. When you feel safe in your body, I'm always going back to say it, we feel regulated, we can expand on the pleasure, we can open up to more. So it's all about, like, release the pressure, have more pleasure. So these are pleasure sessions, they're intimacy sessions, but you're just not going full on like sex pleasure. If it leads to that, it leads to that. So why can't, if this is something that you're struggling with within yourself, like you're feeling overwhelmed, thinking, I should be like self-pleasuring, I should be having more sex, my body doesn't want to now, that's perfectly fine. So why not have an hour that you're being like touched from head to toe, being massaged, bringing all these beautiful, activating your senses, breath, sound, movements, spreading the pleasure, and just like allowing yourself to receive, to be in that receiving mode, because this is the divine feminine. She receives. When she is receiving, like, that's what we're created for, to receive. And just let your partner touch it all over, and before you go in, just let them know this isn't going to lead to sex, I just need this. And you can swap it over. Like, you can, like, maybe one time do this for, you can be the receiver, and then another time your partner can experience it, and it just takes the pressure off things. And when we take the pressure off things, like, it can lead to so much more. So you never know what this is going to bring. And this intimacy practice is something I actually share with you in Pleasure Alchemy. And Pleasure Alchemy is it's a pre-recorded 4-part module that helps you access pleasure. And also, if this is something that you're interested in, like Pleasure Alchemy, I am offering it to people who sign up to Turned On by Life, absolutely free. And I'll drop that info in the show notes. But do you know what? I feel so good about this episode. It's short and sweet, and I actually feel like I'm just actually going to leave it there. It's 21 minutes long, but really take that into your own self-pleasure sessions and your sex sessions. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not feeling aroused, you want to connect to your body, you want to feel safe in your body, you want to expand on your pleasure, take sex off the table and just connect to your body and allow that pleasure to expand all over your body, because sex is actually more about pleasure. It's not about orgasming. So your body, every part of your body is made to experience pleasure. Just we don't actually explore it because we haven't been taught. We've been taught to go straight to the genitals. But I'm gonna leave it there. I feel it's complete. So thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, I would love you to rate it, to subscribe to the page if you're listening on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, or listening on Spotify. And if you feel called, if you think there is someone that would like the episode, share it with them. But before you do, ask their permission, because it is, like, we're talking about sex and self-pleasure, and not everyone is ready for that. So I shall see you soon. And have a fabulous evening. And remember, release the pressure and have more pleasure.